Hello guys, it's me, Shane Davis, comic book veteran of 20 years, doing creator-owned books now in crowdfunding, and I'm here today with the beautiful, lovely, charismatic, charming, sometimes will make me a sandwich, Yanzi Lin. She's like, I never made you a sandwich ever. I saw that face. And she's like, hi. She's not going to say it. She's just going to wear the shirt that says hi. If you don't get the joke. But here today, we're about to talk about some crazy data, some crazy sales data that's coming from around the globe. And it has to do with a little thing called manga. A little thing, not a big thing. It's a really big thing. Selling a lot in America, but selling even more overseas. And we're going to compare the U.S. market to it. And you're going to say, Shane, that's not fair. Yes, it is. They actually have a quite smaller population than us, so yes, we are. So before we get into that, though, guys, today is the day you are going to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. Not that you have to, but consider it, please. And here we go. Bam. Let's talk some hard data, some hard manga sales. Now, I myself, fan of My Hero Academia and One Punch Man. Akira, certain mangas I like, not every manga.
And now seems to be a new convert to Demon Slayer.
Yes, I am getting into Demon Slayer on Netflix, and I'm into it. I am into it. It did take me about 8 episodes to really get into it, but I'm sold. It's got me. It's got the hooks in.
So the All Japan Manga and Book Publishers and Editors Association reported that in 2018, the combined physical and digital manga sales reached 441.4 billion yen, which is about 3.96 billion. Now you're probably thinking, only about $4 billion? That's not very much money to make from the manga industry, aka the comic industry within Japan. But you want to compare that to the North American comic sales in the reports. So in 2018, comic book sales in North America only reached $1.09 billion. That is like almost 1/4 of the Japanese manga sales, isn't it?
Yeah, and the sad truth here, and I'm not trying to get off of 2018, but we're having to, because the data is not all compiled for, I mean, the data is all over the place on this, so we're kind of looking at 2018 as a gauge, but it gets a little bit more troubling when we went into 2019. In 2019, in the American comic industry, this was a weird bragging point that people were like, look at us, we're doing better than ever, except we were actually adding manga sales. Okay, now you first to understand this, to say we're doing better in 2019, and this is before the bloodbath. We had all the big writers, the people that are unemployed right now in the American comic book industry, they were all touting about we're doing better than ever. But if you look at the data, there's a couple of things they were cribbing that they were taking credit for. They were adding manga sales to it, and they were adding crowdfunded sales to it, and they were adding YA book sales, and that's when they got super defensive, and they started saying YA books are going to be the way of the future. Let's do I'm Not Starfire. That's the way of the future, and now they're pivoting out of it because they're not selling it. The DC YA novels aren't selling. They're laughable at best. And there's really no market for it. The sales are, and they're returnable, so that they're eating a lot of the bill on that. Whereas the normal floppy comics are not returnable, so they're just not faring well in that YA book market. But talking about the sales data, it is fluffed with so many other people's data, meaning like we're actually adding in My Hero Academia to say our American comic sales are up. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that's stealing credit. I mean, that's actually, and if 30% of that sales data is compiled in manga, you need to take off 30% of that and give credit to where credit's due. That came from manga in Japan. That's an import. We do not make American manga, believe it or not. Very rare. It's almost non-existent. So to take manga sales like My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, or I don't know, Dragon Ball, any of this stuff, like, right? It's cheating. You're really just fluffing it up to make it look better. And if you took 30, I'm no math genius, but if you took 30% off that, right away. If you lopped off manga, just boop, it's gone. It wouldn't even crack a billion, right?
Nope, it won't even crack a billion. So the breakdown here, by the way, let's point out that this is from Forbes, so there is, we're not just putting these numbers out of our ass here. Sales up significantly, led by the ultra-hot juvenile fiction genre, aka YA. It now accounts for 37% of all graphic novels sold through bookstores. Manga follows at 31%. Superhero represents only 7% of sales and saw a 10% drop off year over year from 2019.
And talking about superhero sales, so you're going to say, well, superheroes are dead. They're not part of the driving market in this. And I'm going to have to say, no. These are the top 10 graphic novels of 2020. And if you'll notice, My Hero Academia, number 1 is there. Number 2 is there.
3, 4, 5. 5 of the top 10 selling ones are My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia is a manga about a bunch of children training in a school setting to become superheroes, which sounds surprisingly similar to X-Men and stuff, doesn't it?
Sounds familiar to X-Men, Avengers Academy, all these failed. Well, X-Men's a popular franchise, but Avengers Academy, things like that, never successful. Teen Titans, it has a lot of Teen Titans vibe to it also, because it's generational. So there are full-fledged superheroes, and then there are the underlings and the offspring of them aspiring to be the next generation of heroes. And somehow it sells gangbusters. And so much so, we're taking credit for it when we have absolutely nothing to do it, except we invented the superhero in America. Besides, this is taking everything from Western comics and making it cool. So that's really is that we shouldn't be taking credit for this at all.
Actually,
but
I need to point out very quickly, though, the creator of My Hero Academia confessed to being a huge fan of superhero movies, especially Spider-Man.
No, I see a lot of that. I see a lot of that in it. And it's, again, they do superheroes better than anything I can buy at Marvel and DC right now. And they're just fun, cool, and action is a thing.
When your options are this from Marvel.
Well, my options are Snowflake and Safe Space. So this is going to take us to where, okay, Shane, no brainer. We're face down on the canvas, tail up to the sky. We're knocked out. Manga is killing American comic sales. We get it. And here's the thing: why would My Hero Academia do so well when it's just and you have to understand it's doing insane numbers, and it's probably the only time in America a book has sold, a superhero book compiled of nothing but absolutely new superheroes. Well, they're not new. A lot of them are derivative, but they're completely new superheroes and characters sell such big numbers. It's insane. So is it that superheroes are dead? Obviously not. And this is a lot of why I think we see, people like Warner Brothers and Daniel Cherry talk about reaching for a global reach, going outward for comics, thinking more, because they see the same things we're talking about here, and they're like, these guys know how to sell books. Let's make comics over there. Maybe if Batman had big eyes, it would sell. That's the type of dumb business mentality. And it's nothing to do with exactly, better art does sell books. We're gonna go into that in a minute, guys.
Especially if it's a visual medium.
But it's material. And this is probably should shake people like Disney that paid so much for Marvel Comics, and AT&T that went in debt 2-3 times and ended up with DC Comics, that maybe these characters don't have the value you think they do. Anybody can just make a new character that outsells Batman. Think about that. That's strange, right? And it's probably got more to do with the way we treat customers in the American comic industry, that we shame one another. We call people racist. Like, according to Dan Slott, you're a racist if you don't like Safe Space and Snowflake. He didn't even work on the book, and he's saying that. Daniel Kibblesmith did that, and he's saying, you're a racist, unfollow me. We have the most toxic creator to customer, publisher to customer, whatever you want to call it in America, transactions going on, the worst customer service going on. And that's Whether you want to go down the SJW road, you want to go down the creator road, or whatever, we're doing it wrong. But this isn't something that was done wrong overnight. This isn't like a slip down a flight of stairs. I mean, this is like carefully crafted and destroyed and obliterated to the ground. Political nonsense, right think, cramming. Well, and also the bad creator deal. And we'll get into that in a second. But Yanzi can help navigate us in the manga reality. What are the incentives for making cool comics in manga?
Well, first of all, I want to say one thing, and that's that the Japanese manga industry is based on a very strict system of meritocracy. For someone to get into manga publishing, right, it's very popular in for all these Japanese manga anthologies, like Seishuen and all that. They would hold like annual contests looking for new talents. So people would submit like one-shot stories to the company, and it will actually go out for public voting. The public votes and say, "Oh, we like this talent here. We like their art. We like their story, whatever." And pretty much, the winner, maybe the second and third place people, they're pretty much guaranteed, the chance to pitch a story to the publishing house, and then maybe they'll pick it up, maybe they won't. But the fact is that these people got their foot in the door, not because they fit checkboxes or anything, but because they produce a work that the public said is good. We want to see more of this stuff.
And why do they want to see more of it? Because they're gonna buy it, because they want to sell more of it. And their meritocracy can align with cash sales, and that it does seem strange to some people, and that's not a good way to hire or fire people. But you have to make it. You have to turn money for the company. You can't just be hired because you're the gender of this one character over here. Because you take Demon Slayer, the artist for Demon Slayer, a woman. All the characters are male for the most part, except his sister. I mean. This is, I mean, nobody's saying like you have to work. This idea of working on yourself within a book is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Looking for check boxes like that to make a hit, it's the wrong end of the telescope.
Well, can you imagine if they said, no, Tanjiro cannot be the lead character because you are a woman creator. Nezuko must be the lead character instead. Can you imagine? Yeah. That would probably be the case in America. But back to the point, right? Why manga sells so well is because it is based on consumer interest. If consumers don't show as much interest in a certain title in those anthology, after a while, the editor will step in and say, you know what, this is not selling. We have to get rid of it, bring in something that people are interested in and will pay for. And that is how it works in Japan, you see. It must make money, it must have consumer interest, because ultimately, they want to be able to sell a product that will go into, anime goods, anime itself, they end up having musicals, movies. They want
and the creator
empire.
And the creators actually own some of that. So that's the other incentive is for a creator. Why hasn't Marvel or DC really had new characters come out that people are actually want to sit down for, that you have to do something ridiculous like and be laughed at publicly, globally, like Safe Space and Snowflake, because this artist that came up with this design, the writer that came up with this, there's no financial incentive. Okay, the companies own everything. They call it a work for hire agreement. And if you want this $200, you're going to design a character that we can maximize profits on and never give you anything for, meaning Marvel Legend figures. You'll spend more tracking down that character's product over the years than you'll ever get paid. If I could, I created a popular cat Dexar for DC Comics. If I could, I would pay. I added up the other day. It's less than $1,000 I was ever paid for that character. If I counted all the pages I had to draw him that DC ever paid me to draw that character, yet they make so much money with toys, action figures, or video games, multiple Lego game appearances, Lego cartoons, Injustice 2, these things. I would never do it again. Honestly, I made a handful of characters for DC Comics that they've profited from, that they get around. They may be in the new Green Lantern HBO show. I don't really look forward to it because I'm going to have to beg for $1 and a little dollar, and it really isn't worth it. I mean, it's a bum deal, and it's ambiguous, and it's all underdeveloped, this horrible work for hire agreement that's been around for generations. We're going back to the original founding fathers of comics, and it's the only book publishing venture that I really know of. And I'm talking about European comics. I'm talking about pro books. I'm talking about manga, where somebody outright owns everything you just put on a piece of paper forever, and you get a few $100. It's insane. And I feel like between the SJW corruption in comics, and especially the talking down to customers and calling people a racist or a Yahtzee or any of that stuff, we as a type of medium, as an art form, even let's just pretend it's an art form, we have to look at ourselves and say, were we given a good deal? Are we asking for enough? Should we reevaluate? Is there a reason to actually produce a book that these companies can sell or not? And that's a hard question. And while we're at it, go check out Starlight Cat's Merlion Rising up on Indiegogo right now. We are getting ready to hit 90K. We are like one backer away from 90K, and that will unlock more stuff we can give to you for the simple price of backing this book. And that will be a few more trading cards to add to the collection. And we will catch you next time with another video.